Lake Park was deeded to the city in 1912. So today we're really, really excited. We're very excited to finally have a monument and a plaque, okay, recognizing the significant role that Lake Park has played in our community. 1912, 104 years later, we're getting a park sign and a monument. So we're pretty excited about this. Just a few words. A lot of people have been trying to understand who we are as a group. We're Huntington Beach Preserve Our Past. You may not be familiar with us. We basically go by HB POP, Huntington Beach Preserve Our Past. And basically the idea behind that is that we pop up as needed to support historic preservation. Okay, so sometimes we're working really hard on something. Sometimes you may not hear from us for a while because we're doing fundraising or whatever. We're a very diverse group of individuals who together we pop up and support these efforts. So at this time, I'd like to recognize the other members of Huntington Beach Preserve Our Past. And Kathy Bryant in the purple back there. She's a magazine editor, and she's actually the one that wrote most of the plaque, okay? We also have our newest member, BJ McKay, back there, okay? Married to a longtime Huntington Beach resident. And of course, our Barbara Haynes, who we couldn't do it without her, okay? So at this time, I'd like to go ahead and I'd like to ask Mayor Katapodis to say a few words.
It's great to be here. It's great to 104 years. I can't believe it's taken that long, but thanks to Preserve Our Past, that you guys done a great job. You've been doing a great job around here, finding out the history, and you know, it's great to have the name of the park the same name as it was, and we keep it that way. We don't name it after people. I'm not into that. If we have a historical history on something, I want to keep it the name that it was originally here, because that's what keeps our history here in Huntington Beach. And we want to preserve our history as much as we can. And so I really appreciate that, and appreciate you guys putting the plaque here. And park looks great. And we maybe get the yoga people to come over here and make a bigger crowd here. But anyway, thanks so much, Gloria, and all the people on the committee for what you do. And thanks again, and welcome to Lake Park officially.
Of course, my introduction to Lake Park was when my family moved from the north end of town over to this side of town, and Lake Park was where you sometimes ended up after Huntington Beach High School let out for session. And so it's a beautiful place, and I've really enjoyed being able to see online a lot of the photos of Lake Park in the past, back when there was the lake. And so it's really great to be able to memorialize this with the new monument sign and rededicate Lake Park. So with that, come on up, folks. We'll do a certificate here. You'll get the mayor and Huntington Beach Preserve Our Past. Come on up.
I feel funny about giving myself the city of Huntington Beach, but it's really not for us. It's for Gloria and her team here, Preserve Our Past, and Barbara. So we'll give you a little commendation for all your hard work. So here we go.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
For you guys.
Thank you.
Don't worry about us.
Wow. That's awesome.
But speaking today on behalf of Assemblyman Travis Allen, we have our former mayor, Joe Carcio.
It's a real honor to be here today to represent Assemblyman Allen from the 72nd Assembly District. Parks make life better. This park has made life better for so many people for so many years, and it's a long time coming. You know, thank you for the HB Preserve for what you've done to preserve this and give it back to the city where it belongs, because so many people have enjoyed this for so many years. So with that, I'd like to present a certificate of recognition to you guys, and it says Lake Park Monument dedication, dedicated to the new Lake Park monument and plaque to honor the historical significance of Lake Park and the community. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know how many of you know that Huntington Beach Preserve Our Past, we also have a mini museum in the glass cases downtown at the Main Street Library. So every 3 months, it's a rotating display. Please come down if you're, when you're downtown, take a look at the Main Street Library. It's very interesting, nice pictures of Huntington Beach past. Okay, thank you. So it's very important. I also too want to remember that all of our parks downtown are so valuable. All of our 3 historic parks downtown. So we're so glad that everyone's able to be here today. Our next speaker, representing the Board of Supervisors Vice Chair Michelle Steele, Tim Whitaker, you're on.
It is indeed an honor and a pleasure to be here on behalf of the Vice Chair of the Board of Supervisors, Michelle Steele. That's your supervisor for the 2nd Supervisorial District. We found out on Thursday that this was happening by our good friend Councilman Mike Posey, and the Vice Chair herself would love to be here, but of course she's booked about a month and a half in advance. But I told her about it, and she said, Tim, rearrange your schedule and come on down. What's real nice about this today is it's one thing to know about what's going on and to pass it word of mouth, but it's another thing to memorialize it. And so behind me is what's called attention to detail, what we're talking about. So HB Preserve Our Past cares about attention to detail so that people know, so they don't have to be here to talk about that. People are, from here on out, are always wanting to know the significance of Lake Park. On behalf, here we go. Who am I presenting to? Oh, here, well, you guys take it. Put you in the center.
Oh,
you guys get in here like that.
Here we go.
It's all about you. Now, there we go.
Our next speaker is Bridget Cobb from Community Services Commission. Oh, there you are. There you are.
I think of the 6 years I've been on the Community Services Commission, we've been talking about this for about 104 years. So I appreciate the fact, and go Trojans, I appreciate the fact that you're all here today, taking time out of your Saturday. Community Services Commission is a commission that represents Parks and Recreation, because all of us who sit on the commission, we believe that open space is the most important thing for us. I love the fact that you're all here. I appreciate that we have so many people who are so willing to give of their time and their energy to this community, because we have people that travel thousands of miles to come visit the place that we call home. And part of the reason why they travel all of those miles to come here is because of places just like this. I can tell you, I think that I have more sand in my house from that playground over there that it's probably had to be replaced at least 3 or 4 times. But I will tell you that as much as I appreciate Preserve Our Past in all of the work that you do, and I would also like to say for our elected officials as well. I mean, I'm school board president of the elementary district. I can't tell you how many days my child has come from Smith and Dwyer over here to play with friends or to walk home to a friend's house. I mean, it is a community. But the best thing that I can say is the interest and passion in preserving our past also has to be preserving our future. And this is sacred ground. We have very little open space left, and we have to take it as our task for our future generations to make sure that we keep our open space. And I so appreciate the work that you do. Thank you.
People I want to thank are actually my great-grandparents, because I'm so fortunate that during the 1910 revolution in Mexico that they settled here in beautiful downtown Huntington Beach as farmers. So I'm glad our family was here. Our next speaker, representing our Boy Scout, Huntington Beach Boy Scouts Troop 1, John Mitchell, please. Thank you so much.
I'm glad I followed Bridget because I didn't have a plaque or a seal, and I thought that everybody had to, so I was a little nervous. I'm glad people can just speak. And this is a far side of the park. I didn't even realize this side of the park is over here because we all hang out at the other side. So she said there's a plaque. I said, where is it? Oh, on the other side of the park. It's a huge park. But what I'm talking about is that cabin, log cabin on the other side of the park that many of you have seen. And in 1924, the Lions Club, local carpenter unions, and the Edison Company came together to build that and erect that cabin for specific use for Boy Scouts of America to use here in Huntington Beach. And it's been used by Troop 1 ever since. The troop is going to be 100 years old next year, and for 92 of those years we've been hanging out here in the park. The cabin was completely renovated by adults and friends of Troop 1 back in '74, and upon recognition of historical significance to the community, it's been designated a historical historical site by the state of Huntington Beach and preserved for scouting here in Huntington Beach forever. See, I hang out down there. For the last 5 years, I've been in this park every Monday night. My son's a life scout in the troop, and we come and we have our meetings every Monday night. If you've ever been driven by here on a Monday night, you see out in that field out there anywhere from 50 to 80 scouts, and they're practicing knots, or they're practicing first aid, or they're playing dodgeball. They're doing something out there. The mission of Boy Scouts of America is to prepare young people to make ethical and moral choices over their lifetime by instilling in them the values of the scouting oath and law. And Lake Park has been a part of that tradition for 90 years. By way of Lake Park, Troop 1 has helped countless entities throughout the city, Eagle Service projects, whether it be at the Shipley Nature Center, Therapeutic Riding Center, Bolsa Cheek Ecological Reserve, and even today, as when this is over, I'm going to go hang out with some of our scouts. Are building a drum enclosure for the APA program over at Huntington Beach High School, and that they've learned all of those skills, all that leadership skills, right here in this park. So not only is it a place to walk your dog, not only is it a place to play in the playground to catch some sun, but you got a lot of guys, a lot of men in this community, and I see some parents and grandparents of some of them, and some of them that have come through the cabin, and they're really impacting the world for better, and it's because of the impact that this park has had on them. This next year, we celebrate our 100th anniversary. And when the Centennial Committee was getting together last spring to start talking about this, they thought, well, where do we have this? It's 100 years. Should we do a black tie event in a hotel ballroom? They thought maybe they should do a beach picnic, maybe a big family outing in the mountains. And finally somebody said, no, we're going to do it here in the park. This is what Troop 1 is all about. This is who we are. This is Troop 1. So it's going to be a big celebration in the park next year in the summer and celebrating our 100 years. And as a troop, we've been around 100 years, and I couldn't think of a better 92 of those than we had that cabin right here in the park. So thank you for all you've done to recognize it and to memorialize it. We'll continue to be good stewards of that end of the park and keep it nice for y'all. Thanks.
Our next speaker from the Huntington Beach Kiwanis. I know you're here. There you are. There you are. Laura Romero.
Glad to see everybody here together at Lake Park. I am immediate outgoing president of Kiwanis of Huntington Beach, and just want to thank Barbara. We've exchanged many emails, and you've presented to our club, and why Lake Park is so important to Kiwanis of Huntington Beach is we celebrate the 4th of July pancake breakfast every year, and we serve between 2,000 and 3,000 people. And that's not just us, our friends, family in the community, but people from out of town as well that get to experience the small town environment that we have in such a big, amazing town. So on behalf of Kiwanis of Huntington Beach, I want to say thank you, and thank you to the POP. You guys are amazing, and thank you for having me here today.
Last, most important, is an individual who grew up right here, just 2 doors down from the park. Jim McKay, retired Huntington Beach lifeguard and fireman. Jim McKay, if you can come up and say a few words about growing up here at Lake Park.
Like Gloria said, I grew up in the house right here. My mother and father built it in 1958. And back then, everything on this area here and over here were oil fields. This was my park. These were my trees. That was my scout cabin. And it's funny how when you're a kid you feel like you own things. But this was my park. Before Rogers Center, Murdy and Central City Park, Edison Center, and now the new Senior Center, the building at the back here was our senior center. This was the downtown area, and everything else out in the outline area was either sugar beets or tomatoes. So all the functions of the city took place right back in the yellow building back here. A lot of fond memories in that area. 3 quick stories about the park. It's called Lake Park. And the reason it's called Lake Park is because the area where the sand area playground is was a pond, not a pond, but a body of water about this deep. And it just sat there all year long, and it was a challenge to walk 4 steps in it before falling. And I'm serious, it was a concrete bottom and it was enormously slick. Another memory of the park is waking up in the morning and having literally thousands of automobiles parked here, and walking out in the park, and they're having a casting tournament. And it's a national casting tournament that was held on a national basis with thousands of people in the area. That was a casting pond. It wasn't a lake, it was a casting pond. And I remember like 3 hula hoops at one end, and then the gentleman at the far end casting down and being judged on how close they came. And that happened a number of times, but that's the nexus for Lake Park. And finally, in closing, there comes a word that describes Lake Park to me. It's a word that every kid of my generation knew. It's a word today that children do not know. And when I say the word, children, if you want to find the meaning of this word, ask your grandparents or your parents to explain it to you. But when I think of Lake Park, I think of one word, and that is pollywog.
Jim, thank you so much. Thank you.
I want to thank the community, first of all, for all coming out. Your enthusiasm is what keeps us going, so we really appreciate it. I want to thank Community Services, Dave Dominguez, Janine Laudenbeck. Every time we walk in that office and we say, we have an idea, they just cringe. But they have been the best to work with. But most of all, I want to thank all the donors. Please look in your program and see who helped us make this possible. If it's a local business, please help support them. This is what keeps us going also. And one last thing, we are on Facebook, so go to our Facebook page and be sure and like us. And watch on our Facebook page because we have an awesome upcoming event coming up for a fundraiser. And the only hint I'm gonna give you is it involves the golden bear. Yeah, so thank you again. Thank you for the awards and the commendations. You don't know how much that means to us. Thank you.
Here we go. Here's the first one. And if you'll notice some of the other park signs, they didn't have like the sand, the shiny part. This is a little different, kind of an upgrade here. Yes, fresh glass. Thank you. Thank you.
Glass, recycled.
Yes,
Recycle.
Exactly.
So,
2 years in the making.
yeah, lots of hard work. Here we
Wow.
go. So please, everybody, come up, take a look. We are just really, really proud we're very proud that we were able to gift this to the city through the hard work and all the donations. Our donors were very generous. Thank you.